Where are you from?
I'm from Lucknow.
Lucknow, I see.
And this is my first time I'm asking you something.
Go ahead.
In fact, I'm asking anybody from.
You mean you have never asked this question to anybody?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Well,
I'm honored.
well, it's about self-inquiry.
Self-inquiry, yes.
I've read Silence of the Heart from Robert Adams, and he said something like, you have to repeat it over and over again, do it whole day, and something like that, like a mantra.
Yeah.
And you seem to say that it doesn't work that way.
No.
It has to be very specific or asked by some teacher or guru at a particular moment, at a particular time. It will then might work. Well, and there are many people. Zen Roshi, they used to say the same thing, that you have to repeat it over and over again. Who is eating, who is drinking, and things like that. So I'm kind of getting confused. And seems like I've read too much.
You have to repeat what? Repeat all day.
In fact, yeah.
Who am I?
Who am I, or who is asking this question? Who is sitting here?
Yes. And who is drinking Coca-Cola?
And who is drinking Coca-Cola? Yeah.
How does it help? And how,
well, I don't know.
How can it help? How can it help?
Well, you should tell me.
It can't. It can't.
But then the question arises that Robert Adams himself is an enlightened person, and he
Who says so?
Well,
on what basis?
I don't have read.
That is the point. Somebody should ask Robert Adams. Do you think you are enlightened?
No.
No. Somebody should ask Robert Adams, are you enlightened? And if he says yes, where is the certificate? Somebody should ask Robert Adams, are you?
If you think that way, then nobody is enlightened. Who is giving certificate for whom and to whom?
Therefore, enlightenment is not a certified event.
But there is something called enlightenment.
Who says, therefore, is it certified? You have, as you say, you are quite right.
Still, who will certify whom?
That is the point.
No, but the thing is, there is enlightenment. There is enlightenment or not?
There is enlightenment as a concept. There is sunrise, sunset, there is there. But enlightenment, in fact, for 40 years I have been asking, what is enlightenment? And more important, what I am supposed to seek enlightenment. Suppose I get enlightenment. What happiness will I get after that I didn't have before? Are these not the two most valid questions? I am supposed to seek enlightenment, for which I have to go to a guru. And the guru is supposed to give me enlightenment, help me get enlightenment. That is the standard Indian practice. Isn't that right? So, I asked my guru, he couldn't tell me. After that I asked...
There are very beautiful descriptions of enlightenment, absence of doership or absence of me, or...
Descriptions?
Yep.
By whom? By God?
Obviously not God, but...
Obviously, you forget the word obviously.
But people who are enlightened...
Who are they?
You, Nisargadatta Maharaj, Raman Maharshi.
No. The point is, the whole point is, and which is the unfortunate fact, but it's a fact. This simple thing nobody really goes into. Enlightenment. What the very hell is enlightenment? What are we talking about? Shouldn't that...
It's a recognition that there is no such thing as me or you.
All right. No, that
something like that.
You are quite right. Something like that.
Yeah.
And something like that is stupid nonsense. Because Ramana Maharshi lived for 50 years in the ashram as what?
As a human being. Yeah?
As a separate entity who responded to the bell for dinner, lunch or breakfast, went and had breakfast, lunch or dinner, and when anyone came to him, he asked questions, I answered them. So,
but we see that way, that he is answering the question and he is replying and he is...
But that is something seen.
Yeah, by others. But if you'll ask him, you'll say, I'm doing nothing, is this happening? It's kind of like, I've read that talk is happening, I'm not talking,
yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah.
If you'll ask his point of view, he'll say something like that.
I know. But who certified that that is enlightenment? I am saying that that is enlightenment. Isn't that right?
Yep, you are saying.
Therefore, the whole point, I'm sorry, you said your name is?
Atul.
Atul. The whole basic fact is, and I'm astonished, I have never come across any statement made by anybody that enlightenment has never ever been a certified event. Have you?
No.
Have you heard anyone say that?
But there are things that Guru literally certifies that this is it, kind of thing, you have got it.
Who will say? Ah, yes, I know. There is one man who is well known, you see, and he told one man, you are enlightened.
You are talking about Papaji and Madhukar?
Yes, I am talking about Papaji and Madhukar, whom apparently you know.
Yeah, I've read it. I don't know anybody, but yes, I've read.
But you have heard.
Yeah.
That is precisely my point. That somebody tells someone they are enlightened. So this is such an important point. Such an important point. For 40 years nobody told me what it is. What is enlightenment. And therefore I decided after I retired to pursue happiness. My happiness. Selfish, yes. Very selfish. Millions of people suffering, but I am pursuing my happiness, yes.
But it's the same thing, call it happiness or enlightenment. In fact, I have substituted the word. I'm now in the spiritual circle, so I call it enlightenment.
And someone else will say enlightenment is suffering.
It's suffering.
Yes. Why can't he say it?
Then why pursue it in the first place?
Because
it's suffering.
Because I want enlightenment. Therefore you have to suffer. Therefore you have to sit in meditation 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening. You must do this, you must not do that, you must do this, you must do that. Why? So that you will be enlightened. Isn't that so? What is the Guru supposed to do for you?
Well, make you realize that you are always free, kind of thing. Then there is something in front of you and you seem to be not looking at it. You are missing something. Maybe you are not noticing.
Therefore, I should go to an eye specialist. I don't see something which is right before my eye. And that is precisely what these bloody gurus keep saying. And that is why there are so many people are confused and misled. Therefore, my first point to you is, if you are seeking enlightenment, please understand, enlightenment is not, has never ever been a certified event. That is correct? You agree with that?
Well,
certified event. Certified, I repeat, enlightenment has never ever been a certified event. Yes or no?
Certified in what sense? Just
certified? You are a doctor, you have a certificate. You are the certificate given.
Enlightened person recognizes the other person, enlightened person. If you meet Nisargadatta Maharaj, he will immediately know that you are enlightened.
No?
Well, I have read it
what?
somewhere.
What have you read?
That you can recognize another enlightened person. If you talk to him or be with him for some time, you
Yes.
will come to know that he is enlightened too.
Agreed. But what is enlightenment? What is enlightenment? I can tell you, you ask me, is so and so enlightened? I can tell you, yes, he is enlightened. On what basis do I say that he is enlightened? On what basis do I say, I read somewhere that he is enlightened at his place, certificate, a divine certificate? Nisargadatta is so on what basis does anyone
enlightened person doesn't need it and non-enlightened can't have it?
Yes, therefore the enlightened person doesn't want the certificate.
Yeah.
But if somebody wants to know whether he is enlightened, will need on what basis?
Yeah.
I don't need a certificate.
Yeah, you don't need a certificate.
But you ask me, am I enlightened? Or you think I'm enlightened?
Yep.
You think I'm enlightened?
Yeah.
I have no certificate anywhere. I have no certificate. No certificate has been published. Books have been published. See what I mean? Therefore, the most important thing, which I am astonished has never been given much attention, is enlightenment has never ever been a certified event. Therefore, enlightenment is merely a concept.
But enlightenment has happened to somebody, a certificate given or not, that's not the question.
Therefore, enlightenment has meant what? Therefore, the second question, what has enlightenment done? Enlightenment is supposed to give me happiness. Therefore, if I see someone happy, according to my concept of happiness, then according to my concept of enlightenment, he is enlightened.
But how can there be different concept about happiness? When you are happy and I am happy, then we both know internally what happiness is.
No, we don't. We don't, honestly. You ask someone who is buying women and songs, what is happiness? He'll say, happiness is when I go to the office and my table is hardly any work. All my assistants have done very good work. Then in the evening, I go to a club. I go to the
outward thing. He does something different for the same happiness, and I'm doing different thing for the same happiness. Happiness is same, na?
That is where you are totally off the mark. What we are doing for pleasure.
Okay.
What we are doing for pleasure. What are we pursuing in life? Pleasure. What are we pursuing in life? The absence of pain. So what are we pursuing in life? More pleasure, less pain. Is that not a fact?
Yep.
Is that not a fact? So are we pursuing happiness? And that is my point. The whole problem is that the average seeker, totally confused about what he is seeking, what is enlightenment, pursues pleasures, mistaking him for that he is pursuing happiness, which is enlightenment. So what is the state of affairs? The average Indian seeker pursues pleasure and thinks that he is seeking happiness.
But before coming to spiritual circle, pleasure and happiness are literally same.
Totally different.
That is totally different for you, but for him, he might have even.
And that is why I am enlightened and he is not. That is why you say I am enlightened and he is not. The whole point that my concept nothing certified. My concept is that the happiness and pleasure both are concepts and totally different from opposite from each other. Even pleasure is a concept. Something is a pleasure for you, something it is not a pleasure for you. That's quite clear, isn't it? What you consider as pleasure, everybody doesn't consider as pleasure. Therefore, even pleasure is a concept. My concept of pleasure may be different from your concept of pleasure. See what I mean? Therefore, in life, everything is a concept. The most important thing to remember is everything in the world is a concept. Why?
What do you mean by concept in that?
A concept is something which will have an interconnected opposite. Concept is, and what is the opposite of concept? Truth. Truth doesn't exist, because for every concept there is another concept. You say something and how quickly, yes but. Isn't that right? You say, make a statement, promptly, at least one more. Yes but. My point of view is different. My perspective is different. Therefore, pleasure is a concept. And my concept of pleasure may be different from your concept of pleasure. Similarly, my concept of happiness can be different and is different from your concept of happiness. And we decide that enlightenment means a particular kind of happiness. Therefore, you ask me, am I enlightened? I say yes. You ask me, on what basis? On the basis that irrespective of whether I am suffering pleasure at the moment or pain or enjoying pleasure at the moment or suffering pain in the moment, I am always happy. My happiness is not distracted either way by pleasure in the moment or pain in the moment. That is my concept. And what do I mean by that I am happy even when I am in pain? I am asking you, giving you your questions.
If you seem to be comfortable with pain?
No, not comfortable with pain. When I am suffering pain.
Don't want it to go away.
Wait a minute. I am suffering pain. My body, mind, organism may shout out, I may shout out in pain. And yet I am saying that it does not affect my happiness. So, what is my happiness? My happiness is the pain that I have accepted. I have accepted the intensity of that pain. Having accepted the intensity of that pain, I am not uncomfortable with myself. I have accepted what is. Therefore, I am not against anything. Therefore, I am never uncomfortable with myself. Therefore, I am happy. What do I mean by happiness? Happiness means I may be in pain, but knowing that I had nothing to do with my pain, there is no question of feeling guilty. Pain is there because it is supposed to be there. Pain is there because it is my destiny, God's will, cosmic law, that I should be in pain at that moment. And it is there. I am never uncomfortable with myself. I am never uncomfortable with the other. Because according to my concept, enlightenment means the total acceptance of the concept. Everything in the world is happening according to God's will or cosmic law. How each happening affects whom for better or worse, pleasure or pain, is again according to the cosmic law, through which body, mind, object, the happening happen, through which person the happening happen, which the society calls your action, my action. Society calls your action, my action, and you may believe it is your action, is happening according to the cosmic law. No human being is capable of doing anything. According to my concept.
According to you, but
Wait
according
a minute.
to me.
According to my concept, anyone who has the total acceptance of the fact that the human being is incapable of doing any deed is enlightened. My concept.
But you have reached that point. You have reached that point.
And that
you
point,
have come to that understanding.
and
na?
therefore I am saying I am enlightened.
Yeah.
According to my concept.
But for me, I'm doing things,
And therefore you are searching for something that you don't know what you are searching for. Isn't that a fact?
but I've heard there's a well here.
That is the point. Therefore you keep, Robert Adams says this, ABC says this, XY says this. Therefore you miss the whole point. That enlightenment is a concept. It is not a certified event. And I keep saying I'm surprised that this point has not been highlighted so far. Isn't that a fact? Has anybody ever said enlightenment is not a certified event?
So what do you mean by certified event? Enlightenment is. That's the fact.
No. Certified event is simple. You are a doctor. You have a certificate from the
I don't need certificate. I know I'm a doctor. I can treat anybody. So whether you give me certificate or not, that's not the point.
No, then people won't accept you as a doctor.
Doesn't matter.
Of course it does. Then if you want,
People don't come to me, okay? They don't. Their problem.
Then their problem.
People come to you.
No certificate, and
No.
will come into my mouth.
Wait. People come to you or not, that won't affect you. You are sitting here.
Yes, but
People.
yes, but if I am a doctor and people don't come to me for advice, I'll starve as a doctor. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes, but.
No, you will starve, but you are still a doctor. You are a doctor whether you will starve or
Why?
or people come to you or not.
Why? Because I can, that certificate says I am a doctor.
But that certificate doesn't make you a doctor.
Of course it does.
Why do you go to a college?
No.
College.
Yeah. But
Why?
but if you come to me, I'll prescribe you medicine. I don't need to show you.
I won't come to you.
What are you trying? What are you trying to?
Listen.
Wait a minute. What are you trying to be? An engineer?
No. In fact, I'm a doctor. But the thing is,
You are a doctor.
you are my friend.
Yes.
I know I can treat you.
Then
I know correct medicine. I know everything. And just one day before getting degree, I can treat you pretty.
but I'm not concerned with your being a doctor or not. You are concerned with the day you got the certificate. Now I am a doctor.
A day before.
You are not a doctor.
I'm not a doctor, but I can treat you.
Then you will be a fake doctor, not authorized to treat
by
me.
government, by certain law.
Yes, indeed, by certain law. Yes,
Yeah. But
but
listen, if a
yes.
quack kills somebody,
I'm sorry.
a quack, a doctor
Yes.
kills somebody,
Yes.
he goes to jail. But if a certified doctor kills somebody,
Yes.
very you-
For negligence,
okay, might be a mistake.
mistake, negligence, or worse than
Yeah,
mistake,
negligence type thing.
negligence. Then it is up to the patient who suffered whether to proceed against the doctor or not, at law. In the law will say, he made a mistake. And the certificate that he is a doctor entitles him to make a mistake. The certificate which a doctor has protects him against making a mistake. Everybody mistakes, everybody errs, everybody makes a mistake. But I'll tell you the joke. My cousin is a doctor in London. He's been for all his life, since 17 years.
But
So, wait a minute. So he was in the hospital and he was treated for a wrong thing. He never had diabetes and he was being treated for diabetes in a hospital in London. Therefore it means that the certificate means the authority to make a mistake. The certificate means an authority to make a mistake, and you won't be penalized for it. Whereas someone who does not have a certificate and does that, he'll be in jail.
But if it treats well, then
Then
after all, both have knowledge. Both of them have knowledge.
no, why did, if they had knowledge, why did the quack did not become a doctor? Why did he remain a quack? Why does a quack remain a quack?
He is quack according to certain rules and regulations.
Exactly. And those rules and regulations are what is certified. Therefore a doctor is certified, but an enlightened man is not certified. Therefore, a quack, there can be a quack and not a real doctor, based on certificate.
But
In the enlightenment, anybody who's considered enlightenment is considered enlightened. There is nothing to certify that he is enlightened. And therefore, just as there are quack doctors, there are quack enlightened people.
But the thing is that you don't need a certificate that you are enlightened.
Yes, but someone who comes to me
He considers you enlightened.
and wants to know what has enlightenment done for me. Otherwise, why would you come to me? And therefore, I say, for 40 years I pursued enlightenment. Nobody could tell me what is enlightenment. Actually, the answers were there from the Buddha, but I had not my destiny to come across them. Then I started, I wasted 40 years seeking something, I don't know what it is. And all it has brought me is misery and frustration. Therefore, when I retired from work, I said, from now on, to hell with anybody else. I will seek happiness for my own personal self, totally selfish. Then you ask me, what about all the millions of people? What about them? God made them. God is God's problem, not mine.
But
I am concerned with my happiness.
Everybody is doing just that.
Yes, but they are going the wrong way. Therefore, while almost everybody goes the wrong way, I happen to go the right way. And said, and what is the right way? What is the happiness I am seeking? I decided to seek happiness for myself, totally selfish. Then the very first thing I had to ask myself, what am I seeking? I am seeking happiness. Therefore, what do I understand by happiness? I am seeking happiness. I must know what the happiness is. See what I mean? I am seeking happiness. My very first step. What step do I take? If I don't know precisely what I am looking for, happiness, I wouldn't know where to go. Therefore, my good fortune, my destiny, God's will, cosmic law, that I ask myself the most important question. I know what pleasure is. I have enjoyed pleasures. I have not enjoyed all the pleasures in life, but Even if I had enjoyed all the pleasures in life, I would still be seeking something now. What am I seeking now? Happiness. Even if I had enjoyed all the pleasures in the world, I would still be seeking happiness. Agreed? Therefore, the most important conclusion I came to in my pursuit of happiness for myself is that the happiness I am seeking has nothing to do with the pleasures in life. Otherwise, by God's grace, I am a reasonably comfortable man. I know what pleasure is. Then I would not be seeking for happiness. The fact that I am seeking happiness, in spite of knowing what pleasure is, clearly means the happiness I am seeking has nothing to do with the pleasures in life. Pleasures in life, one step further. If my happiness does not depend on the pleasures in life, it surely cannot depend on the pain in life. Therefore, the happiness I am seeking has nothing to do with life itself. The happiness I am seeking has nothing to do with life itself. Therefore, the important conclusion from which I started, most important, is that the happiness I am seeking has nothing to do with life, and therefore it must remain in my attitude to life. The most important conclusion the spiritual seeker must come to, according to my conscience. The happiness that I am seeking has nothing to do with life but in my attitude to life. My attitude to life was to, what do I mean by my attitude to life? You see, I didn't want to take a step unless I knew exactly where I was going and what I was going for. Therefore, in the very beginning, before I took a step, before I did anything, I am asking myself, what is happiness? Happiness has nothing to do with pleasure. It has nothing to do with life. Therefore, it has to do with my attitude to life. Next question. What do I mean by my attitude to life? My attitude towards animals? My attitude towards beggars? My attitude towards deformed children? My attitude towards philosophers? What do I mean? Before I take a step, I must know, what do I mean by my attitude to life? The very first step I had to know what do I mean by my attitude to life? That brought me to the question, what is the very essence of daily living? So, daily living, to which my attitude to life, what is the very essence of daily living? And the only adequate answer I could come to was, what is the essence of daily living for every human being at any place, at any time? And the answer is his relationship with the other. From morning till night, any time, any situation, means your relationship with the other. The other may be your parent or wife or son or a close relative or a neighbor or someone connected with your profession or a total stranger. In other words, the very basis of daily living, is interhuman relationship between the closest relative, or between me and my closest relative, or me and the farthest stranger. Whoever the other is, my happiness depends on my attitude. Whoever the other is, that is important. Therefore, whoever the other is, my attitude towards the other must be the same. If my attitude towards my parent is one thing, My attitude towards my son is another. My attitude towards a friend is a third. And my attitude to a stranger is keep away. And that has been that is the reason I am not happy. Therefore, in order to be happy, my relationship with the other has to be totally without problem, totally harmonious. That is the answer I came to. The happiness that I am seeking depends entirely on not what happens, which is according to God's cosmic law. But nobody is able to do anything. And that is the only way I could have a harmonious relationship with the other. Whether it is my brother or a stranger, my total understanding is, if I am hurt because I am supposed to be hurt, precisely the way I am hurt, according to the cosmic law.
You have come to that understanding, but people don't have that understanding.
And therefore they are not enlightened, therefore they are not happy.
But I've come to you.
Yeah.
What would you advise me?
I would advise.
I know you have that understanding,
No,
but I'm not there.
Yes.
I don't have that.
Do you know what I would advise you? Please listen to me. Please listen to me with your heart, not with your intellect. First thing I would tell you is, listen to what I have to say. Why should you do that? Because what I am telling you is not repeating somebody's words. What I am telling you is from my personal experience. And my personal experience has been that I pursued happiness. And it turned out that my happiness depends on a harmonious relationship with the other, and the harmonious relationship with the other depends entirely on my being able to accept my concept. My enlightenment means being able to accept a concept, my concept. And that is, everything in the world is happening according to cosmic law of God's
For
law.
me, it is a belief. You have told me something.
And therefore, I am happy and you are not. And you are asking
How
me
can that belief be turned into understanding?
Yes, that is your question.
That is the question.
That is the question.
Yeah.
And the answer is quite obvious. Who is a truth? What is a truth? What is a truth? A tool is a name given to this body, mind, organism by his parents. Agreed?
Yeah.
And what is the name given to? What is the name given to? The name is given to a three-dimensional object which happens to have life within it and five senses. A tool is a name given to a three-dimensional object. The three-dimensional object is part of the totality of manifestation. What is the manifestation? The total of all the three-dimensional objects of whatever kind, from a stone, a growing plant, animal or human being. All four fundamentally are three-dimensional objects. Therefore, a tool is the name given to a three-dimensional object. Then your next question to yourself would be, then who is this Atul who lives his life? Who is this Atul who lives his life with the total responsibility? I'm responsible for my actions. See what I mean? Atul is a name given to a three-dimensional object. then who is this Atul who considers himself the doer of his action, responsible for his action, and every human being responsible for his actions, and continues to believe that what he is doing is right, what the other fellow is doing is wrong? That is Atul. Therefore, basically, fundamentally, there are two items. Apart from the source and the source, the unmanifest, and its opposite, the manifestation. So the body, three-dimensional object, is obviously part of the manifestation. Who is Atul? Atul who is supposed to live his life according to his own responsibility. If he is not connected with the manifestation, obviously he must be connected with the source. He is either connected with the manifestation, part of the manifestation, or connected to the source, the unmanifest source. The unmanifest source can't be divided into 6 billion selves. Therefore, Atul is the connection of the source with this three-dimensional object. I repeat, who or what is Atul? Who or what is Ramesh? Who or what is anyone? Anyone is fundamentally a three-dimensional object with which the source has identified itself as a separate entity, which is called ego. Why did he have to do that? Because the very basis of daily living is interhuman relationships. The basis of daily living is relationships between different egos, relationships between different connections with different three-dimensional objects. I am going step by step to tell you. I am talking from experience. Therefore, whatever anybody is fundamentally a three-dimensional object, which is connected to the source, or the source has connected itself with each human individual and created a separate entity with a sense of personal doership, so that interhuman relationships and daily living can happen. That is the basis. So, every human being is connected to the source, and that connection gets broken every time the human being forgets. Fundamentally, he is a three-dimensional object, and the three-dimensional object cannot do anything. And every time the three-dimensional object considers himself to have done a good thing or someone else has done a bad thing.
But how can three-dimensional thing think or considers or remembers or forgets?
Quite right. Therefore, whatever is being thought or done by Atul is not done by any individual three-dimensional object. You are quite right. How can a three-dimensional object do anything? You asked me. And I said nothing. How can a three-dimensional object do anything?
But it seems to be doing.
Therefore it seems that Atul does live his daily living. So if Atul is only a three-dimensional, who does the living? The source does the living through the connection with this three-dimensional object and brings about whatever is supposed to happen at a particular moment according to the cosmic law. In other words, every human being is a three-dimensional object with which the source is connected and brings about whatever is supposed to happen at any moment, at any place, through any individual three-dimensional object, and that is a happening. according to the will of the source, according to the cosmic law. Total acceptance of that is enlightenment. That is my concept.
I know intellectually what you are saying is true.
Yes.
And yeah, but whatever you say, for me it is a belief. No?
It is. That is what I keep repeating from the day, from the first sentence. Whatever I am telling you is a
The
concept.
concept, yep.
It is not certified.
How can I convert that belief into understanding? That's the thing. For me, that's the thing.
Yes, but even understanding. What is understanding? Even there. No, wait a minute. What is understanding? That you use the word understanding. What is understanding? Isn't it interesting to know? What is understanding? Tell me.
Now think about it, it sounds same like belief.
Understanding means accepting a certain concept.
Yeah.
Understanding means accepting a certain concept and rejecting other concepts. That is the understanding. And everybody says the same thing. You said about Robert somebody. So he says, you are enlightened if you are able to accept his concept. But understanding means accepting a concept. So you go to 3 different enlightened people, and every enlightened person will consider you as enlightened if you are able to accept totally his concept. Therefore, understanding means accepting a concept.
I thought it was rejecting your concept.
Yes. So, if you accept my concept totally, then what will happen? If you are able to accept totally my concept, what will happen? You will have the happiness which I am having. And then you won't have to ask me, am I enlightened? Knowing that you are happy, then you will realize that happiness which you have now is enlightenment. And enlightenment means knowing your real nature. See?
Yeah.
Happiness is your nature. And enlightenment means knowing, realizing one's true nature. One's true nature is happiness. So if you know that you are happy, if you know that you have reached the happiness that you are seeking, totally different from pleasure, then you know that you are enlightened. But for others it's a concept. Therefore, my pursuit for happiness turned out to be the right approach, which again I don't find anybody else, frankly, who suggested the stupid notion that you should pursue happiness in order to be enlightened. That was my personal experience. Therefore, I say my personal experience has been, I was fed up with pursuing enlightenment, brought me nothing but frustration. Therefore, I started pursuing my happiness for myself. But as I told you, before I could take a step further, I must know my own position. Therefore, I began, what is this happiness I am seeking? And then I came to the conclusion, the happiness I am seeking has nothing to do, most important step, nothing to do with the flow of life. Why? Because flow of life is already determined, predetermined. Whatever is going to happen in the flow of life for million years has already been predetermined. The movie is already in the can.
I can't do anything.
I'm sorry?
I can't do anything.
Except whatever is happening as something which has happened.
But then it can be said that acceptance also
Yeah.
Part of happening?
Acceptance of whatever is. What is the core of daily living? You see a scene before you. You are part of that scene. And that is precisely what is supposed to be at that moment. So you have to accept it. But in daily living, what is acceptance? Murti, it's a banana? Ah. Alright, that's all right. I thought they were locked in. You see what happens when the door comes with a bang, then the thing gets stuck. You see what I mean? First and foremost, I have to accept that I'm seeking something totally selfish. Oh, how can you do that? How can you reach enlightenment by seeking something selfish? No. No guru will accept you. But that is what I am telling you. I said, to hell with enlightenment, I don't care about that. I want to be happy. And then starting with that, what is happiness? I've told you the course I followed. And ultimately I came to the conclusion, when I did find the happiness that I was seeking, which means never to be uncomfortable with myself, never to be uncomfortable with the other. Even if I'm enjoying a pleasure thoroughly, what has been everybody's experience? Something happens and that pleasure is shattered. I'm suffering pain. I've accepted the pain with that intensity. Then what happens? Something happens and my intensity of my pain is intensified much more. In other words, even if I have accepted life as it happens, I am not allowed to enjoy my pleasure in peace and suffer my pain in peace. Therefore, ultimately, I found that when I was happy, I realized that I say I am happy because now, when I am enjoying pleasure, nothing can destroy that pleasure. When I am suffering pain, nothing can intensify that pain. Why? Previously, what was it that had the power to shatter my pleasure of the moment and intensify the pain of the moment? A memory of something I had done to hurt someone, a memory of what someone close to me, a dear friend, had done to hurt me. Once I am able to accept totally, I am incapable of doing anything, the other is incapable of doing anything, how could I have hurt anybody? How could anybody have hurt me? Therefore, total acceptance that I am not the doer, the other is not the doer, means the total acceptance. Whatever is a happening brought about by the soul through the body, mind, organism concerned, precisely the way it was supposed to happen according to a cosmic law. The human being is incapable of doing anything. I repeat my concept of enlightenment. Everything in the world is happening according to the cosmic law. How each happening affects whom, for better or worse. Any happening usually helps somebody or hurts somebody. Any happening, from a small from invention to a world war, it helps someone, hurts someone. So which happening will hurt whom and help whom is again according to the cosmic law. To which person the happening happens, be the society called your action or my action, his action or her, is also according to the cosmic law. Everything is happening according to the cosmic law. No human being is capable of doing any deed. Total acceptance of that means my pleasure of the moment is never shattered, my pain of the moment is never intensified. So that is what I my concept of happiness. What is my concept of happiness? My concept of happiness, I am never uncomfortable with myself, I am never uncomfortable with the other. My pleasure of the moment is not shattered by something I had done or what someone else has did to me. In other words, my happiness means being able to enjoy the state of mind I am in. Whether it may be turned pleasure or pain, not in my control. But whether I am enjoying pleasure or suffering pain, with the total acceptance I am not the doer, the other is not the doer. My pleasure of the moment is never shattered. My pain of the moment is never intensified. And that you can call is happiness. Therefore, again and again I repeat, I am talking from personal experience. And I could not start my journey of personal experience without first deciding what I meant by happiness, which is what I am seeking. Started with that. What am I seeking? And that's where I realized was the mistake. What was I seeking? Enlightenment. Here, what am I seeking? Happiness. What is the happiness I am seeking? I could understand. What is enlightenment? Nobody could tell me. So enlightenment, seeking enlightenment is a wide process. It never ends. But pursuing happiness, bang, you are there. But you have to find out from the beginning, what is this happiness I am seeking? See what I mean? I know what pleasure is. I am reasonably comfortable in life, for which I am grateful to God. And yet I am seeking happiness. It's funny. If I have someone tell me I am seeking happiness, someone below the poverty line will ask me, are you crazy? Aren't you reasonably comfortable in life? What else do you want? So for the man below the poverty line, minimum needs being met is happiness. Therefore happiness is a concept. Therefore the happiness for someone like us, who is reasonably comfortable in life, is to realize and understand thoroughly that the happiness one really seeking is one's nature, is one's very nature. And that is why we are seeking happiness.
Then why don't we realize it? The happiness is my nature.
Oh, I do. I do.
You do, but
you don't.
Yeah.
Why? But my destiny, God's will, cosmic law, that I get the understanding, is not Atul's destiny, God's will, cosmic law, that he get the understanding yet. Whether he is ever going to get it or not.
But there is acceptance of that thing, that I don't have that understanding. That will kind of ease things down.
No, not easing down. First thing is to realize this, that you do not have this understanding.
Yeah.
999 people of 1000 don't accept that. I know what I am talking about. I am a successful man. I have 10 industries. 10,000 people work under me. That is the point. So no one really realizes that he is merely an instrument, a three-dimensional object, through which the source or consciousness or power, energy, is functioning through and bringing about whatever is supposed to happen according to the cosmic law.
But the thing is, how can I come to that understanding?
You will not be able to come to that understanding unless it is your destiny to come to that understanding. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Never, ever will you ever come to that understanding. If it is not your destiny, God's will, cosmic law, that Atul should have the understanding. But if it is Atul's destiny, which has brought him here, and is listening to me, if it is Atul's destiny to get the understanding, no power on earth can stop it.
But then it seems to me like I'll have to sit and wait.
I'm sorry?
Jolly well.
What should I do then? Sit and wait.
Yeah?
What should I do then? Sit and wait for that understanding? But yeah, I know your answer. But still I'd like to hear it.
You got the answer. Wait and see what happens. Wait and see what happens. But there, I will give you a very valid question even in that dead end. Even at that dead end. I can't do anything because I am not the doer. It will happen if it is supposed to happen. The valid question is, I thought I was the doer of mine, and I used to do, according to my Guru's instructions, several spiritual disciplines. Fasting on certain days, going to the temples, sitting in meditation. So what do I do now? Now if I have accepted that I am not the doer, what do I do with those disciplines, spiritual disciplines I've been doing for 20 years? Valid question, isn't it? What is the answer? Answer is simple. If you have enjoyed doing those disciplines, no reason why you should lose that enjoy. But if you have been doing it, feeling forced to do it, you can stop it. But the more important, more valid question is, while I am waiting for something to happen, while I am waiting for God to make up His mind, is there not something I can do with the total acceptance? Whatever I do will be to pass time for my own benefit, and is not going to affect the result which is already predetermined. Valid question. Instead of the usual discipline, is there not something I can do to pass time? Valid question. And for that I do have a question. I do have a suggestion. Ramana Maharshi called his and Ramana Maharshi must have given his personal inquiry, self-inquiry. At the same, because some people have reached that stage and wanted some kind of an answer. Silence wouldn't have helped. Silence at that stage would have been cruel. So he gave you the principle of self-inquiry. Find out, who am I? Who am I? I call mine personal investigation of a particular action. Normally, if you don't even watch, at the end of the day, you know it, that most of the events that happened during the day had nothing to do with your doing. All of them were happenings in which you happened to be a part. So, this personal investigation is a simple thing. You can do that any time if you have the time during the day. But if you are busy throughout the day and don't have time during the day, then my suggestion is, at the end of the day, take 10 minutes off. Sit comfortably. This is not a yoga meditation. Sit comfortably. Take the most comfortable seat. And if you like your glass of beer to relax, have that glass of beer. And then do some very simple personal investigation. From the many events of the day, which you realize have happened, have nothing to do with them. From the many events of the day, pick up one action which you are sure is your action. Other actions I don't know, probably not. But this action is my action. And I challenge anybody to prove to me that it is not my action. And then you investigate that particular action. Again, very simple. If I consider this action as my action, did I decide to do that action at a particular time? See what I mean? I consider this action my action. Did I decide to do that action at a particular time? And your investigation reveals you didn't. Then your investigation begins. If I didn't decide to do that action at a particular time, how did the action happen? How did the action happen? And in your investigation you realize that what happened was you had a thought. A thought had happened. And that thought had turned into action. If that thought had not happened, your action would not have happened. And you had no control over the happening of that thought. Why? Because no human being ever has had any control over what the next thought is going to be. No one can know what the next thought is going to be, whether it's a fresh thought or a memory. No one can know what the next thought is going to be. Therefore, if you have no control over that thought, how can you call that action which is your action? If the thought had not happened, your action would not have happened. And you have no control over the thought, how can you call it your action? You have done the investigation yourself and come to the conclusion that the one action you were so sure is your action turns out on your own investigation not to be your action. Then your intellectual acceptance must go considerably deeper. Then you take another action and another, and I assure you, every single time, without exception, 100%, you will keep on coming to the conclusion, not my action, not my action, not my action. And the acceptance will keep on going deeper and deeper until at a particular moment of time, a divine flash of acceptance is likely to happen if it is your destiny for it to happen. I simply cannot be the doer. If I had not happened to be at a certain place and time and seen something, my action would not have happened. But I had no control over being at that place at that time. And much more important, for something to happen, I had no control over what happened, which I happened to see, hear, smell, taste, or touch. My action would not have happened. So each time your acceptance goes deeper and deeper and deeper until, if it is your destiny, a divine flash of total acceptance happens. After that, you won't have any doubt. You still have a question.
Yeah, I have to.
How do I know that my acceptance is total? I think it is total. How do I know it is total?
Well, absence of burden.
I'm sorry?
Absence of burden and
Yes, but that is according to your concept. That you are happy.
happy.
You are happy because you have this acceptance. But in any case, the acceptance means that whatever you have done is a happening, which you have found. But how? I think I've had that divine flash, but maybe my mental aberration. It may be my mental aberration. How do I know? 100 years ago, Atul, I would have had no answer for your question. Up to you. Today, there is an answer. You can go to a doctor and have a lie detector test. tell the doctor, give me a lie detector test, he gives an injection, and I am told, 10 minutes later, you are unable to tell a lie. You are unable to tell a lie. So you go to the doctor. He gives you an injection. 10 minutes later, you ask him to ask you, Atul, you don't really believe this stupid concept that you are not the doer, do you? And your answer will reveal whether there is a deep understanding or not. Okay? So I don't have any more questions for you. You'll have to manufacture them yourself. So any questions?
Yeah, just have to clarify a few things.
I'm sorry?
Just have to clarify a few things.
Sure, with pleasure, Atul, with pleasure.
I don't have to repeat who am I whole day long. Oh, I forgot to ask myself who am I, who's drinking this. And I don't have to be aware. There are many people who teach awareness, bring awareness in your actions. Be aware of your thinking, what you are thinking.
Do they know what they are talking about?
It seems they know what they are talking about.
Do they know what they are talking about?
Aye.
No, they tell you to be aware. He said, are you aware? How can you be unaware? How can you be unaware? What things go on, daily living, how can you be unaware of what is happening? Therefore, your question would be, if I have the total understanding, I consider myself enlightened. How do I live my life? If I am not the doer, I have accepted I am not the doer and the other is not the doer, how do I live my life? You have got the pink booklet?
Which booklet?
Pink booklet?
No. I think I'm trying to mix all the teaching.
Which is a mistake. Which is a mistake.
This is a mistake, yeah.
Which is a mistake, Atul. Why?
Actually, it's getting hodgepodge.
Why? Because they are all different concepts.
Yeah.
And getting them together, you are making a hodgepodge of it, as in your words. Therefore, you cannot try to put all the concepts, bring them together. You can't. Which is what the seeker is doing.
I'm reading books from different authors. One suggests this, one suggests that. Well, actually, I don't have any dual teacher there in Lucknow. I don't know anyone.
But it will still be his concept. It will still be his concept. Therefore, Atul, the last word is that you are interested in this subject. How long have you been interested in this?
In non-duality, maybe
many years.
1 year, 1.5 years.
That's all.
Well, in spirituality, 2 or 3 years.
Anyway, the fact that you thought of God, that you thought of some spiritual, is itself your destiny, God's will, cosmic law. That you are here now, that you heard about me and that you are here now, sitting before me, listening to me, is also because it is your destiny, God's will, cosmic law. What is going to happen in future about your understanding is also similarly depends entirely on your destiny, God's will, cosmic law. Therefore, why worry? Let things take their course. But what is the most important thing in life? Now, one question which has bothered me. Why is it that people simply find it almost impossible to accept that I am not the doer? That's what you said, isn't it? You find it, how can I accept that I am not the doer when I am living my life? I am held responsible for my actions. The answer to that is, it's difficult for you to accept that you are not the doer, because the basis of daily living is doing by a particular individual. In any given situation, I have to decide in that situation what do I want. And I decide what I should do in order to get what I want. That is the very core of daily living. Doing whatever I want to do in a given situation. Situation after situation. Daily living means situation after situation. One action of mine followed by another action. Daily living means my doing something in challenge to what the other is doing. So the very basis of daily living is my doing. How can I accept I am not the doer? You see, that is why it's not easy to watching life. I have to decide in a given situation. Therefore, with this apparent confusion, how do I live my life? I live my life in an extremely simple way, which is, in a given situation, I do precisely what I feel like doing. In a given situation, knowing that what I think I am doing is really not my doing. It is a happening being brought about by the soul through his connection with the three-dimensional world. So knowing that I am not the doer, I still do whatever I feel I should do in a given situation. But thereafter, with the total acceptance that whatever happens after that has never ever been in anyone's control. Therefore, having done whatever I wanted to do in a given situation, I sit back, relax, and witness whatever is happening precisely as I would watch a movie. If I am watching a movie, would I hate anybody? If there is humor, I laugh. If there is sadness, tears may come to my eyes.
But if that thing comes after understanding. Before understanding, for me it's like I've read 10 authors, 10 different authors suggesting doing this thing, be aware of this thing, and one who's doing.
Therefore, it is
getting burden for me, no?
Yes. Therefore,
it's taking burden.
Therefore, it is a huge burden. Therefore, it is your destiny. It is your destiny whether you will remain with that burden or accept my concept. It is your destiny, I repeat. It is your destiny, God's will, cosmic law, whether you accept my concept or remain in the confusion. Even that is your destiny, cosmic law.
And adding everything up is definitely a no-no. What I'm doing right now,
Yeah.
pursuing self-inquiry and then being aware of this thing and following you also, what you have to say about
Yes, but what will I say? Personal investigation with the total acceptance that will have nothing to do with the result which is already predetermined. That is the important thing. You are doing it not as a spiritual discipline to be enlightened, but merely to pass time. That is the difference.
I should stop reading those authors. Follow one
wait a minute, I'll give you an answer, simple answer. If you like reading those authors, if you enjoy reading those authors, there is no reason why you should give up that enjoyment. But now, with what you have heard from me, examine what you are reading. Whatever you are reading from the other book, examine it, question it. And this is what the Buddha told you, remember? Don't believe what I say. Test whatever you hear from your own experience. Don't accept anybody's words unless they stand the test of your own personal experience. Whom have you read? Whose books have you read so far?
Well, Robert Adams,
Robert Adams.
Zen books, Suzuki, Shunru.
Yes, Suzuki.
And many books in fact. Papaji's, Raman Bahasi's book, Yo's book,
J. Krishnamurti.
J. Krishnamurti, Osho.
All right, tell me, whose books have you not read?
In fact, I tried to read
But that is
V also, but was
indeed, way away.
but I couldn't finish it only. I couldn't understand it even.
You couldn't understand him. You couldn't understand him because he is saying exactly what I have told you. And you couldn't understand Babu way because you were supposed to come to me. Simple.
You are in good company. I also have come here. 11 years.
And he's a lawyer.
And I've read all those books you have said. Before I came here.
But his point is that it was his destiny to pursue for 11 years or 13 years. Otherwise somebody else would have said, no, that's rubbish.
But I couldn't help it.
It was your destiny, you couldn't help it. Okay. So, any other question?
Sir, I want to say something.
Oh, please, Rohit, come. You see him now, laughing and enjoying.
Yeah.
But he suffered. He has suffered. And I know how much he has suffered.
To the extent that he said he was exasperated. Enough!
Yes, go ahead, Rohit.
It occurred to me today. And I'm convinced, not even understanding, I'm convinced that nobody is the doer.
That's the point.
And therefore,
Yeah.
the sense of doership is not my doing. The sense of doership which is instilled in me or has happened or in everybody is not my doing. It is instilled.
Of course it is. Everything is instilled, beginning with life. Beginning with life. There are 4 different types of 3-dimensional objects. First, there is a stone in which there is no life. Then there is a growing plant in which the life grows. Nobody waters the plant. But there is life in the growing plant which becomes a tree. There is the animal in which the 3-dimensional object has 5 senses through which the individual sees, smells, hears, tastes and touches. And he has the ego which is connected with the source, which makes him feel he is a separate entity, the ego. So even the animal has an ego, which makes him separate from the others. Your pet dog would not like you to pet some other dog. The separation as the basis of what is the basis of the ego? Separation. I am separate from you. And then there is a human being in which has been instilled, as in the animal. The human being is an animal in which life has been instilled and the 5 senses work and the feeling of separate identity is there. But in addition, in the human being has been instilled the sense of personal doership, which is not there in the animal. The animal has an ego, the human being has an ego. The difference is, in the ego of the animal, the sense of personal doership has not been instilled. Whereas in the human being, the sense of personal doership has been instilled. And on top of it, in the animal there is no intelligence. Body, mind, organism. The mind functioning only to the extent that the body, mind, organism can function. There is no intelligence. The human being in the human being has been instilled intelligence, so that he keeps on asking questions, seeking answers, and becomes unhappy.
There is that story about Vishnu or somebody, either of the three, being dissatisfied with this. There is a lot of suffering. This is not correct. Everybody should be enlightened. And everybody became enlightened. The kingdom of Vishnu and the life was totally dull. There was no drama. And then Vishnu confessed and said to Shiva, "No, you are telling 1%.
Better to have your life than mine."
What drama? There is no drama there. Nothing. Everybody is sitting quietly.
Everybody is sitting quietly, helping each other to eat. Feeding, I feed you and you feed me. Universal brotherhood. Who's going to watch a movie like that?
And then another thing I got it. Don't take it ill, huh? It is personal. I realize when you are saying yes but, is that but having only one tea or two teas? I found my yes but in the past was having two teas. Big but. the ass of the intellect. Only one.
Does your body have one ass and your intellect have another butt?
In the ass training, they used to reprimand us. Get off your ass.
Yes.
Never does one give up this.
Yes.
Adamancy.
You have done a lot of things, didn't you? You talked of est.
Yes. It was wonderful training.
You have lots of things. Yes, they are useful for a particular purpose.
I did Vipassana as Zen meditation under a Zen Roshi. It was my destiny.
Yes. Sure. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Right.